won against the Invisible Man. He thought he got shot while playing cops and robbers by himself. Now, of course, Jackson, like we said, he made it out alive miraculously, but he also says he feels traumatized for life. With him writing in a Facebook post, "All I could do was lean over and play dead to prevent getting shot in the head. Windows were shattering on me the whole time as bullets continued flying across me. I was scared to death and I knew all I could depend on was God. I ignored everything and prayed. I haven't been the same since, and I don't think this feeling I have will ever change. I truly believe I'm damaged for life." And as far as Hernandez, he was not charged with anything. He also wasn't fired. He ended up resigning back in December. The county sheriff also telling reporters that he didn't believe the officer acted with any malice. So I don't know how many people were saying that he acted with malice, just overwhelming stupidity. But the county sheriff also going on to say, though his actions were ultimately not warranted, we do believe he felt his life was in immediate peril, and his response was based off the totality of circumstances surrounding this fear. And again, I am not accusing Hernandez of being evil, just incredibly, incredibly stupid. Like, unless he is an Oscar-worthy actor, he genuinely seems to believe that he was shot, even though, again, he was just having a 1v1 showdown with an Acorn.
Oh, I'm hit. I'm good. I feel weird, but I'm good. I might have hit my vest. All right. I don't know. My legs went numb for a second. I heard a pop come from... Go this way.
And honestly, seeing this footage, it's genuinely scary that there is any sort of system in place that thinks that that guy should fucking ever be given a badge, a gun, and qualified immunity. I wouldn't trust this guy with a fork, let alone a firearm. But hey, that's story, some of my takeaway. And of course, I'll pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? And then in entertainment news and drama, let's talk about Beyonce. Because there's this controversy playing out with Beyonce and country music. And it's kind of not a shocker that this is happening, given how, like, the last time she had a big country song, there were other controversies about how places like the Grammys didn't accept it into the genre. And we're now seeing a similar situation play out with her new songs Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages. Both are country, and they're the lead singles of what's believed to be a full Beyonce country album, with Texas Hold'em especially leaning into banjo and stomping. But then we got the news that a local country radio station in Oklahoma apparently rejected a request to play the track. And with that, one viral tweet saying, "I requested Texas Hold'em at my local country radio station, KYKC, and after requesting, I received an email from the radio station stating we do not play Beyonce on KYKC as we are a country music station, and saying this station needs to be held accountable for their blatant racism and discrimination against Beyonce." Right, and that prompted a lot of outrage, especially because there's a history of country music shutting out black artists. Like how in the past we've seen Billboard pulling Lil Nas X's Old Town Road from the country charts despite its crossover success, with people at that time saying, it showed segregation with the genre. And now with what we're seeing with Beyonce getting denied country radio play, you have some saying, lol, the racism we're about to bear witness to because Beyonce is digging into her country roots is going to be intergalactic. And as a black country singer, I'm so glad other people are now seeing what us smaller artists have to go through to break into this genre and industry. And with this, people getting Beyonce is country trending to show support, others bringing up the genre's history, with outlets like the Washington Post saying that her new songs salute the genre's black cultural roots. And in fact, some argue that part of the reason Beyonce is leaning into country is to reclaim the genre and fight back against racism within it. And so with all of this playing out in real time, it ended up prompting the radio station to respond, with Roger Harris, the general manager of Southern Central Oklahoma Radio Enterprises, telling the Tennessean that they weren't playing it because of the market size, saying, quote, "We're not in a position to break an artist or help it that much, so it has to chart a little bit higher for us to add it. But we love Beyonce here. We play her on our other top 40 and adult hit stations, but we're not playing her on our country station yet because it just came out." And going on to say, we sort of pattern ourselves after the bigger stations. When they start playing it, that's a big factor, and the charts are the second biggest. And going on to defend the station's initial rejection by saying that they would have had the same response to a request for the Rolling Stones, but then also adding that the station will play Beyonce's new songs if they're country. And all that leading to the station posting on social media that it did have a lot of requests for the song and it had it queued up yesterday. And outlets like NPR saying the station said it took so long because it previously didn't even have the song. Though also with this, you have some people and outlets wondering, is this a one-off thing or is this going to be part of something that's maybe a bigger trend? For example, Billboard saying that overall, country radio has been slow to embrace the song. But as of yesterday, Columbia did officially service Texas Hold'em to country stations, so saying that could also change soon. But with all that said, I'd really love to know your thoughts here, especially if you're a Beyonce fan or a country music fan, maybe you're even both. What are your thoughts on this situation and controversy? Because I am just very ill-equipped to have a meaningful opinion on this topic. I think I'm one of 3 people that hasn't heard either of the 2 songs yet. I'm just too busy imagining what I do in scenarios that will never happen. And then it's Valentine's Day today, and that means I gotta tell you about 2 things. The first is just for me. I just want to say I'm sending my thoughts and prayers to all you fools out there celebrating Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day. Because this corporate hallmarkified holiday is already bullshit. But it's a sad time if you find yourself out tonight at some restaurant that's jam-packed you in like a bunch of sardines that push the tables insanely close. You're shoulder to shoulder with strangers. You can't have an intimate conversation. All because you gave in to the manufactured pressure, or you decide to date someone that cares about that manufactured pressure. I mean, if you're gonna do something for Valentine's Day, do it around Valentine's Day. And that's even if you partake at all. Though, every person and every relationship, they're different. In fact, the second thing we're talking about on this day of love is that more and more relationships are looking different. With reports coming out noting that it is increasingly popular for people to consider polyamory and ethical non-monogamy, as opposed to unethical non-monogamy, which is just extra words for cheating. Right? Because while there's limited data quantifying the actual increase in these kinds of relationships, we have seen some online dating services reporting spikes in the number of people seeking them out. But also, I mean, it's undeniable that non-monogamy has kind of crept into the mainstream in recent years, whether it be articles, books, shows like Couple to Thruple, as well as sex-positive dating apps like Field. And actually there, the app CEO telling Axios, an already increased interest in non-monogamy grew during lockdown when people had more time to consider their sexual identities and what they wanted out of relationships. And in fact, a YouGov poll last year revealed that a third of Americans described their ideal relationship as something other than complete monogamy. And then when you narrow it down to just people under 45, the percentage share jumps to 41% for women and 55% for men. And last month, we saw that Match's annual survey found that about a third of American singles say they've had a consensually non-monogamous relationship, with 16% saying they do it again in the future. Also, notably, when you dig into those numbers, the types of relationships vary wildly. Right at one end, you have a full-blown polycule, where you have multiple romantic partners who often know and hang out with one another. And at the other end, there's swinging, threesomes, and other group sex that includes your partner. And then all this other shit in the middle, like thruples or an open relationship where you have one romantic partner, but you can have casual sex with other people. Now, with all that said, if you are hearing all this and you're like, all of this is insane, or you're thinking, I could never do that, you're not alone. Because also typically people who practice these lifestyles acknowledge that it's not for everyone. But they also argue that neither is monogamy. And they are pointing to data showing that half of all first marriages end in divorce, with infidelity being a leading reason. So they argue that if monogamy is not working so well for a lot of people, maybe they should consider trying something more flexible. Though notably, still more people disapprove than approve of non-monogamy when surveyed. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? And also, I guess if you want to overshare with the class, if your opinions are based off of personal experience, feel free to share. Maybe make an alt account. And then, I think most of us have felt the pressure at some point of trying to get ahead, but instead falling further into debt with credit cards, personal loans, medical bills. And if you're at the point where you're making payments every month on your debt and your balances aren't going down, today's sponsor, PDS Debt, has a program that rolls all of your payments into one low monthly payment. Just one low monthly payment based on what you can afford. And everyone with over $10,000 or more in debt qualifies. And get this, there is no minimum credit score required. PDS Debt offers options that allow you to pay off your debt in a fraction of the time, saving you thousands in interest and fees. And PDS Debt is giving you beautiful bastards a free debt analysis just for completing the quick and easy debt assessment at pdsdebt.com/DeFranco. Yet you'll receive a full breakdown on how to save on interest each month and the quickest way to take care of your debt. Just go to pdsdebt.com/DeFranco and get your quick and easy debt assessment today, because it's time to take back control of your life and live for you, not your debt. And then lawmakers right now are getting calls from dead people, right? People like Joaquin Oliver, who was one of the 17 people that died in the Parkland Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting. And today, on the 6-year anniversary of that tragedy, lawmakers are getting calls and they're hearing Joaquin and others demanding gun reform.
Hello, I'm Joaquin Oliver. 6 years ago, I was a senior at Parkland. Many students and teachers were murdered on Valentine's Day that year by a person using an AR-15. But you don't care. You never did. It's been 6 years and you've done nothing. Not a thing to stop all the shootings that have continued to happen since. The thing is, I died that day in Parkland. My body was destroyed by a weapon of war. Other victims like me will be calling too, again and again, to demand action. How many calls will it take for you to care? How many dead voices will you hear before you finally listen?
And as far as how this is happening, it's AI, with the voices being recreated using AI by their families for a new campaign for gun reform called The Shot Line, with each voice coming from a victim of gun violence, like 10-year-old Uzi Garcia, a victim of the Uvalde school shooting 2 years ago.
I'm a 4th grader at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Or at least I was, when a man with an AR-15 came into my school and killed 18 of my classmates, 2 teachers, and me. That was almost 2 years ago. Nothing has changed. Even more shootings have happened. That's why my family recreated my voice, using AI to call you today and demand change.
Right, and in order to make this happen, families took audio clips of their children speaking and sent them to Edison, a global film production company. With the company then working on recreating the voices, and the families would offer notes on cadence, tone, and inflection to most accurately replicate their children's voices. And from there, the families helped create the scripts that were read by the AI. And notably, this initiative is backed by 2 organizations: March for Our Lives, the activist group formed by students of Stoneman Douglas following the Parkland shooting, and the other being Change the Ref, which was actually founded surrounded by Joaquin's parents, Manuel and Patricia Oliver, who have been relentless in their pursuit for gun reform since their son's death. In fact, Manuel was reportedly arrested back in 2022 for climbing on a construction crane near the White House with a banner demanding that Joe Biden enact stricter gun laws. And actually, months later, he was booted from the White House for yelling at Biden. And this also isn't the Olivers' first adoption of AI for their